So that's what 238 talks about. Okay, and then the remaining 3, which is 800 minus 50 is 750. You can see 750 here. So these X bar R chart talks about the different data points has what sort of a variation. Okay, in this example you see where there is no special cause variation observed because we have taken the difference of 3 sample points here. So in the sample mean also there isn't any special cause variation, and neither in the sample range. Now the last chart that is left in the control phase is the X bar S. X bar S, they are used when we have more than 5 subgroups in the data. I mean, we want to look at the subgroup for 5 different data points and want to see that what is the special cause variation observed in the data. Okay, to do that, we can use a similar example, and I can just go to stats, I can go to control charts, I can go to variable charts for subgroup. I click on X bar S. I used AHT data here. In subgroup sizes, I mention, so it says more than 5. When there are more than 5 subgroups, so I mentioned 6 here. Under scale, I'll mention the period and time. Okay, so now in the sample mean, what it has done is it has taken the mean of first 6 data points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the average of this has been plotted over a period of time. So the first data point 306, the second is 401 because this is sample mean. So it has plotted the mean, and the intent is to conclude whether if there's any special cause variation or not. So there isn't any special cause variation here. And in the second chart, which is a sample standard deviation, what it has done is for the 6 data points that we've considered, it has taken the standard deviation of that to see that whether is there any special cause variation. So X bar R and X bar S is periodically designed to look at if there is any special cause variation between the subgroup, between the means, between the standard deviation, between the range, to conclude whether if there is any special cause variation data. Okay, so X bar R and X bar R S is used on a very heavy data when we want to look at whether if there's any special cause observed in the mean, in the standard deviation, in the range. However, the most recommended, the basic chart for continuous is the IMR chart that you can always use to conclude that. Okay. So with this, we have concluded the different types of control charts that we have. And now we are going to proceed further to see that what do we have. So under control phase, we also have process controls, which talks about the documentation, training, periodic audits, error proofing, which basically talks about that when the process is in control, when we are moving from project to process, we need to ensure that there is a documentation which it needs to be done, which includes the detailed standard operating procedures. Make sure the documentation is up to date and encourages ongoing use of standardized methods. The training manuals should be updated. We should be able to train all the new users. It should be audited on a regular basis. Periodic audits are there on the new process on the defined frequency to ensure whether the new processes are documented, if all the people are trained. And then there is an error proofing also done to ensure that the errors are not happened. So these are the 4 things: documentation, training, periodic audits, and error proofings are being done to ensure that this thing is in place, to ensure the process is in control. Then there is a control plan that is being prepared to look at whatever actions that have been implemented are in control. So where we mentioned the problem or the cause, the control plan, that how we are going to ensure that all the actions that we've implemented are being taken care. Who's the person who's going to take care of it, the responsibility, the frequency, the status. Okay. So here we completed the control phase. Now we'll talk about some of the lean concepts, and let's understand in lean that there is one of the important tool which is called TIMWOODS. It's about reduction of waste. So let's understand TIMWOODS, wherein T stands for transport, any data and information having to move from one location to another. Then we have inventory, work pending in progress. Then we have motion, walking to pick up, printing, moving between multiple online screen spreadsheets. Then we have waiting for data, information, waiting for authorization. Then we have overproduction, inviting more people to a meeting than is necessary, CCing 2 people on an email, overprocessing, providing more detail in a report than it's needed, too many checks, too many quality checks. Then we have defects, anything which is not meeting the customer specification is defect. Then we have skills. So professional staff working on administrative duties, micromanaging is all about skills. So let's understand that better. Example one by one. So transport waste is when there is in an organization, in any process, when you see there's too much to and fro between one process to another. That is called transport waste. Okay. Inventory waste is when you see a lot of product which is in progress, which is not being developed, which is not being converted into a finished good. And you see a lot of products have not been prepared. It's an inventory, it's work in progress. So that is also a waste because it is not yet produced to make it profitable for the customer. So that's a waste in a given process. Motion, when there is a lot of to and fro within the process. So difference between transport and motion is transport is to and fro, unnecessary to and fro from one process to another. And motion is a lot of unnecessary movements within one process to another. So just the scope or geographically which differentiates transport and motion. Then we have waiting for one information. So for example, there are 3 different departments and there is one department who is working on a certain transaction and another 2 or 3 departments cannot proceed. For example, there are certain approvals which are required, and until and unless those approvals are not being concluded, we will not be able to proceed further. So that's a waiting sort of a waste. Overproduction, we are producing more than what my customer is looking for and it becomes perishable because my customers can't use it. So I am producing more than my customer is looking for because my customer is not going to pay for the overproduction. Okay, so I have to I'll have to look at some of the margins breakage, but yes, doing more than that is an overproduction. Overprocessing is doing a lot of quality checks. So for example, if team A has produced some products, team B is checking it, team C is again checking it. So there are a lot of checks which are being happening. That's a waste because that's unnecessary effort, unnecessary cost to the organization. Then it's a defect. Okay, anything requiring correction or rework, so which is not meeting the customer requirement, is referred to as defect. And when I talk about skills, skill is that unnecessary people or unnecessary skills which are not required, and I have hired people for that. So that's a cost for the organization. So for example, if I need a person for accounting, okay, and I have hired him for HR, so that's a skill waste. So this is basically TIMWOODS, which is different types of waste which are being used in the organization. So it is our objective to ensure that if there's any unnecessary waste within the organization, we try to figure out and try to reduce or eliminate it. So this is one of the lean tools that I have introduced you to. Then the next tool that we have is called the TIMWOODS, 5Y. Okay, it should be 5 Ys. So it's not 5 ways. Okay, so 5Y is a technique which is helped to get to the root cause. So it is basically asking questions to get to the root cause to ensure that the person is understood. So how to do 5Y? Write down the specific problems. It helps a team focus on the same problem. Ask why the problem happens and write the answer down below the problem. If the answer you just provided doesn't identify the root cause of the problem, ask why again and write that answer. Loop back to step 3 until the problem root cause is identified. So, for example, if I take an example, if my car is broke down, okay, why my car is broke down? Because there is enough petrol in it. Why there is enough petrol in it? Because I didn't get time to go to the petrol station. Why I didn't get time to go to petrol station? Because I was getting late for my work. Okay, why I was getting late for my work? Because I woke up late. So because of why I woke up late, that's the reason my car has broke down. So that's a 5 why analysis. Asking the questions again and again to get to the root cause is a 5 why analysis. Just remember, 5 is a standard. 5 is just a standard that you need to keep in mind. Sometimes we need to ask more than 5 questions to get to the root cause, and sometimes less than 5 also gets to the root cause. We have to stop once we get an actionable sort of a view to get to the root cause. The next tool, the last tool of the lean, which is called 5S. This is last but not least. It is a standardized kind of a tool which is used at workplaces to identify if there's any sort of waste that is in the organization. Okay, so this is very, very important. So the first S that we have is sort. Okay. Second S that we have is set in order. Third is shine. Fourth is standardize. And fifth is sustain. So let's understand one by one with the help of some example. So set in order is basically that ensuring that if it's any workplace, if things are being scattered, cluttered, and not in any order, right? So that's how it is supposed to be done. So we need to ensure that if there are some files, some of the records, some products which are being lying here and there, first of all, we'll have to put it at one place. We have to ensure that all the unnecessary items which are not required should be eliminated. Okay. Anything which is not being used for 6 months would consider as unnecessary items. So in the first exercise, which we says sort, we have to define clear-cut definitions of unnecessary versus unnecessary. Second, set in order that once we have removed all the unnecessary items, we need to ensure that everything is in order, set in order. Okay, wherein we will be able to ensure that everything is in place, everything is being at one particular place, so that we will be able to track it when it's required. Shine is making more visual so that each and every person can understand, giving some visual management, like you can mention it that what is required. So sometimes you see that in offices that it is mentioned that this is the meeting room, this is the pantry, this is the fire station, this is a meeting room, this is the CEO room. Standardize is that we are publishing it into the team that this is how it looks like. There's a proper audit happening. Standardization is there, and sustaining is to ensure that everything that what we talk about, set, sort, shine, and standardize, is being taken care of. Let's take an example of pharmacy. Okay, so in pharmacy, that you see that there's a lot of opportunity in terms of doing 5S. Everything is being cluttered. Okay. So first of all, what we're going to do is, first of all, we would like to sort. So we have to ensure that what all medicines are required. If there's any expired medicine, if there's any medicine which is no more use, we'll try and eliminate it. Okay. So we have done the sorting. Then we were trying to ensure that we would be able to keep set in order in terms of the alphabet. So you see in pharmacies, in chemist shops, it takes only 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes or sometimes 1 or 2 minutes to find a medicine. So that is set in order. It is in alphabetical order. Shine is that they are able to label it, that this is for cough, this is for fever, so that they are able to find it out easily. Okay, visual management. Standardization, they are keeping a track of it. If there's any medicine which is required at this point in time, they keep refilling it so that they don't face any trouble at that point in time. So they keep a track of each and everything. And sustaining is that to regularly do this exercise after every 6 months is called sustaining it. So this is all about 5S, which is one of the important tools of lean. So in this exercise in lean, we have talked about 3 tools. One is the TIMWOODS, which is about reduction of waste. Second is the 5 why analysis, which is about identifying the root cause analysis of a given problem by asking some logical questions. And the third is the 5S, which probably talks about ensuring that there is a standardization in the workplace to ensure all the unnecessary items, all the things which are not required needs to be eliminated. So in these lean tools, it is very, very important that these tools are basically used not only in a Six Sigma project, it can be used outside the project also, because these tools would help you to identify a lot of unnecessary waste, unnecessary items which are there in the process, and which would help you to make your process more sustainable, profitable, and it would add value for the customer as well. Okay, so that is it. So thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.